The Detroit Pistons, they win 125-124 in overtime.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
listen, in the post-game article I put, in a thrilling overtime. The arena, I thought that there should have been a few more people in there, but I get it. These things are trends, and the Pistons haven't done enough right now to justify fans coming out and saying, you know what, we believe. When you look at 17 wins and 14 wins after being sold a complete bill of hope and a complete bill of restoration, but then you get some of the worst, the worst Detroit Pistons basketball by the record ever, then I can understand why fan apathy is what it is. But is there a point where fans can make a difference? And I'm not saying like pulling a team from the gutter up to the next tier, because right now the Detroit Pistons win last night with the Brooklyn Nets getting washed, moves them back into playing positioning, and I believe that the schedule is favorable in front of them. Got to shout out Cade Cunningham. He got a triple-double, another triple-double, 20 points,
All-Star.
18 assists, 11 rebounds, 3 of 6 from behind the arc, man. Cade Cunningham was doing his thing. He had the 4 turnovers. Anytime he's under 5 turnovers, I'm with it. And Eric Spoelstra talked about that as well before the game via. Hey, shout out to Eric Vincent of Clutch Points.
Big shout out.
That's our homie. That's our guy, man. I'll leave it right there, man. Shout out to you, Eric. And he was able to post that video and of Eric Spoelstra talking about it, like, yo, you guys are blowing this out of proportion effectively. Cade is that deal. So this is like jump on the bandwagon. Why? Because they're still in playing positioning. Look, we're a third of the way through the season, and the Pistons are still in post-season positioning. This is where Detroit is supposed to make the difference. We talk about why do people want to come here or not. And I get it. The culture with the Lions have completely changed, and them winning makes a huge difference. But I do believe that the fans of Detroit have the opportunity that if you start to pack out LCA, you get the opportunity to give that team just a little bit more. Have some of these other players who are walking in here, because now it's a litany. It's a long list of players that are joining this whole, hey, these players are now on the trading block. Imagine if they're coming to LCA knowing the Pistons are watching us right now. Their fans are looking like those fans that we used to believe that they were. Imagine that. Now all of a sudden when the Pistons come calling, their agents aren't saying, hey, let's duck this team. No, now all of a sudden the vibes in the city are right. They're realizing, oh, snap, we're driving into Woodward Ave, not out into Auburn Hills. Oh, snap, this team is actually playing for something, and the city is resonating right now. I do believe at this juncture right now, this early in the season, it's a safe bet to buy in. Shout out to Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley put up a heck of a game last night, man. He flamed through 28 points, 7 of 13 from behind the arc. And Asar Thompson was doing all the things that we believed he could do. He was a facilitator, and so he helped to drop the usage rate of Cade Cunningham, both offensively and defensively, because he was all over the court. It allowed Cade Cunningham to not just get rest, but while he was in the game, he didn't have to necessarily run around the court trying to defend everybody.
Right.
Usually he's guarding Jimmy Butler in some of those cases, but Asar Thompson was just on one last night, and just to shout him out, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 8 of 14 from the field, 1 of 3 from behind the arc, but the shot looked good. One of them rimmed out. So overall, good product from the Pistons. They got to keep it up. The Heat were 13-10. They were in a solid playoff position spot, and the Pistons lost Isaiah Stewart in the game. We're still waiting. It might be bad. We don't know yet, but his knee hyperextended, and Jalen Duren was in foul trouble all game. So for the Pistons to pull this one out, I know they should have probably won this one in regulation, but it's still a character win for them.
No, absolutely, man. And I will continue to say it. LCA is a place that it deserves wins at this point. It deserves to have a winning culture in that building. It's such a beautiful building, and it's just a shame that the Red Wings and the Pistons haven't been able to hold up their end of the deal. But 100. When you just look at this Pistons team right now, and to kind of revisit like what you were saying before we get into the game a little bit, do we realize, like, okay, the Pistons are at 11 wins. How many wins did they have last year?
14.
What's today's date?
Sheesh, bro. All the dates are the same to me.
Right.
Tuesday, December 17th.
But my point being, it's middle of December, and the Pistons have already damn near matched their win total from last year. So clearly this shit is completely different. But I can't necessarily sweat fans yet, because one, when you got a team like the Pistons and you're playing, most nights during the week, it's going to be hard for people to want to come out to those games, especially during weekdays, people working, things like that. So people people don't want to spend their money on a losing product, and you can't fault people for that. But I absolutely would implore people to start getting downtown more, because this team is for real. And we don't mean for real in the sense that they're going to win an NBA championship, but they are for real in the sense that they are changing the culture. They are changing, reversing a lot of the hurt that we have experienced for the past 10 years or so with this team. And like I said, it took so long for the front office and for ownership to actually take this shit serious, because for a long time, I mean, the most highlight years we've had is the Blake Griffin years, and those weren't even necessarily good.
I think that he took them serious. I just don't think that he made the right decisions with his money. He spent and he went after the names. SVG was one of the most desired candidates during the time that the Pistons hired him. Monty Williams was the coach, the hot name when the Pistons hired him. Dwayne Casey had just won Coach of the Year when the Pistons hired him. Blake Griffin was the biggest star they were ever going to get. So it's like he's trying, but I believe he tried to, shortcut it. That's when I say that was a character win, and you look at what the squad is doing. That's why I'm like, yo, these guys picked each other up last night. And that was like the overall theme of both Cade Cunningham and JB Bickerstaff in the press conference last night. And we got the opportunity to talk to them for a little bit. So, you know what? Shout out to Tim Hardaway Jr. That's from Ryan. I was save Tim Hardaway for last because overtime was
his
epic.
Overtime was crazy.
It looked like the Pistons were headed for a loss. When we were there, I brought you guys. We all went to the game. Boots on the ground. 2004 Pistons night when they were honoring them, and it looked like the Pistons were about to get that dub against the Heat. And then similar thing, a collapse in the fourth quarter led to a funky three that sunk them. And it was just like, yo, here we go again. But when Tim Hardaway hit those three back-to-back threes, it was like, wow. And LCA, it wasn't filled to the brim, but it was so loud that I was like, oh, my word, bro. If this thing was 30, 40% more full, this would be epic. And
absolutely,
I know this. You want your players to always play all out. But I can state this, and maybe you guys will know it too. Come on, man. Y'all already know, man. If your girl looking at you and she like, you know what? You're really the man. Y'all know you're like, whoa, there's a whole other level I can get to. That's what the city can be for the Pistons. And if they're in playing position right now, I do believe go down and at least enjoy that right now. The vibes are beautiful.
No, absolutely, man. And I can't speak enough to the job JB Bickerstaff is doing with this team. And last night was a recipe for a Pistons loss. By the time I tuned into the game last night, they were up 15. And then I get to watching, and the lead just slowly dwindles and dwindles and dwindles. And, you see, not Zach, I'm almost saying Zach LaVine. You see Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero, once again, starts having one of those nights where he's going to bury the Pistons, man. And then you get into overtime and they go on an 8-0 run, and it's like, what the hell? This is set up for a Pistons loss, but they found the resilience. Tim Hardaway Jr. stepped up big, and they played the defense when it mattered, and they got the dub, man. And it speaks to the maturation process of this team, man. They will not go away. They will not just, rest on their laurels. They will not let bad runs get the best of them. They keep fighting. They keep finding ways to try and pull out these wins in a somewhat weak Eastern Conference. And I'm really happy at the progress they've made so far, although we still need to see more. We do still need to see more.
I mean, we're going to see more. I believe that this is just a situation that as it continues on, then we're going to be happy. Right now, the Pistons are a team that is winning almost 41% of their games through a third of the season. That is progress. That is more than enough progress right now. And even though we want to see them take a bigger step forward, and it's largely because this team wasn't 14 wins bad last year, and it wasn't 17 wins bad the year before. These teams were taking a progress where we thought they could jump into that 30-win mark. Right now, they are on pace to win 30 games. That was the preseason pick that I had. But they are doing better earlier in the season than I predicted. I thought that their 30 wins was going to come because they were going to have a run similar to the one they had during Cade's rookie year. If they have they're going to have a slightly better run than that, in my opinion. The chemistry is getting there. Cade and Malik Beasley are looking really, really good together, and there were some solid minutes from Fontecchio with Cade.
Finally.
They were forced to do it. There was no Ivy, there was no Stu, there was no Duren. They were forced. And look at him. My man came down, and I was talking with somebody like, man, we don't get to see these minutes. First play after that, Cade, Fontecchio, 3. Next play. 2 plays after that, Cade came down, cross, went into the rack, Fontecchio cut. One of the things we talk about, he doesn't sit, he'll move. Boom, laid it in. And so it's like, you know what? This team is moving in the right direction, but we got to break down these Detroit Lions.
We do. Story of the day, man.
Man, It's story of the season right now.
Yeah.
Injury after injury after injury, but they've continued to overcome. Hey, chat family, I need you guys to tell me what your confidence level is right now in the Detroit Lions. And make sure you hit that like button. Let's get our like poll in the chat, JB Smooth. And on the other side of the break, we'll definitely make sure that we shout out the rest of the crew. Dante151 Super Chat 199. He said, shout out to Jalen Duren for not fouling out in OT. You know what? When OT started, we looked up and we said Jalen Duren, Tim Hardaway Jr., and it was somebody else had 5 fouls.
Yeah.
Maybe Malik Beasley. And all of them finished the game without fouling out. And Jalen Duren played much more aggressive last night in the second half of the game when he was able to play, because they were giving us tic-tac fouls, man.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, he had a triple-double too, but come to the Pistons. I told y'all that yesterday.
Yeah, man.
I told you.
He'd be the perfect fit here, man.
I ain't be trying to shop him, but you know what? Let's get into this next one because Brian Roof said it best. I'm fired up, man. Stoked, not MFing scared.
Damn
Let's
right.
go. And you know what? Where you can show all of this, it's at the Lions. It's at the best pregame Lions party in the city, man.
You mean the one Woodward Sports does?
Hey, yes, the one that Woodward Sports does. Hey, the one that Chase, when he was intern Chase, I'm talking about boots on the ground Chase. He was there making sure that the fans was getting all the content. That dude, Justin, hey, Neil and Sean Belegian, and all of the fans that show up is epic. It's at Detroit's very own second best bar. It's located at 42 Watson Street.
Randy
Watson. Right in the heart of the city.